Hi, Hal. My name is Santosh. Today I'm going to talk about positions in CSS. So there are 5 different types of positions available in CSS. Positions. So static position and relative position and absolute position and fixed position and sticky position. So these are the different types of positions available in CSS. First, I will explain like how these positions work, and then I will show you how practically how we can use these positions. So let me open the whiteboard. So let me draw a browser window. So for example, consider this is a browser window. So if I take this as the position relative. So let me write the text. Sorry. Yeah. So for example, this is a relative position. So by default, CSS will accept by default the position is static. So if we say this element position is relative, so the relative position is relative to the browser window. So for example, this is a browser window and this is a relatively positioned element. So it will take this corner as 0, 0. So relatively positioned element is relative to the browser window. So for example, then if I say absolute position, if I say this as absolute, the absolute position, so absolute position is relative to the relatively positioned element. So that parent should be relative position. So that is absolute position. So absolute position, if I say 0, 0, then it will take the relative position as a reference. So absolute position is relative to the relatively positioned element. And so the next position is fixed position. Fixed position. For example, if I say this as fixed position, if I scroll the browser window, it will stay there only. Whatever the positions, if I mention, it will stay there. It will not scroll. And what is the difference between the fixed position and the sticky position? Fixed and this is a sticky. So the only difference between fixed and sticky is fixed position will not occupy any width, but sticky will occupy width. If I say position fixed and if any element will follow the fixed position, so that will collapse behind the fixed position element. I will show you like how these positions will work, how to use these positions in actual, practically in actual scenario. So let me open my code pen. I will show you. So first I will create an HTML structure. So here we'll write. First, by default, the position will be static. If we mention any positions or not, by default, it will take the static as a position. So let me write div class name. I will show you relative position first, how to use the relative position. So if I say div relative, and if I write relative text as relative position. So if I use the class name relative and I will write some styles, 100 pixel width and height 100 pixel, and I will give some background color. Background color as some red color I will give. Okay, so this is the relative position. So let me reset the body styles. Body will take the default margin and padding. So let me reset that. So now if you see, it will be in 0th position. So if I say position as relative to this element, relative to this element. And if I mention the top position is 100 pixel and left is 100 pixel, so it will move from the top 100 pixel and from the left 100 pixel. So relative position will take the reference as the browser window from 0, 0. This corner is the 0, 0 position. From there it move left 100 pixel and from the top it moves 100 pixel. Relative position. So for any element, there will be a 4 positions. First is the top, right, and the bottom and the left. So relative position will accept only top and left position. It will not accept if I mention right and bottom, it will not work. So relative position, remember always relative position will take only top and left. For example, if I say this position as absolute. So if I say this position as absolute, and for the parent element, if I'm not specify any relative position, so it will this will also take the position as browser window as the 0, 0th position. So for this to demonstrate the absolutely positioned element, I will do one thing. I will create one more div inside relatively positioned element. So this as absolute. So the relative position, I will make it as relative. And for the class absolute, I will give this, I will give this some width and height for this. Width 50 pixel and height 50 pixel and background of 0, 0. Black color, I will use the background. So I will increase the width of relatively positioned element, so I will understand better. Okay, so now if you see that red color box is the relatively positioned element. Inside that there is one child element that is absolutely positioned element. That black color is absolutely positioned element. Now if I say top 100 pixel and left 50 pixel, so it will move from first I need to mention the position as USIT position as absolute. See now, so from the top it moves 100 pixel down, and from the left it moves 50 pixel. So it takes the reference as the relatively positioned element, not from the browser window. So this is very important. This is the main difference between relative position and absolute position. So absolute position will take all top, left, right, and bottom. So if I want, if I mention bottom 0, so then it will go to bottom. So and if I mention right 50 pixel, from the right it will move 50 pixel. So anywhere I can position inside this relatively positioned element. So that is the definition for absolute position. So absolute position is relative to the relatively positioned element. This is very important. But the relative position element is relative to the browser window. Relative to, that is the major difference. If I want to align it to the center of the relatively positioned element, then we can use like this. So left 50% and top 50%, and we need to center it. You need to use transform translate minus 50% to minus 50%. So now it will exactly, we'll place it the center of the box. So this is how the models and any models, if you want to place it to the center of the screen, we can use like this. So if I will increase, I will understand better. 100 pixel. So now it's exactly center of this red box, relatively positioned element. So this is the relative position and absolute position. So next I'm going to show you like how to use fixed position. So let me add one more element, a div class for fixed. So class name you can give anything. So to better understand, I use the fixed as the class name. Don't confuse with that. Any name, any class name you can give. So fixed position. So let me write some styles to the fixed class. Width of 100 pixel and height of 100 pixel and background of some yellow color I will give. Okay, so it is here. Okay, so now we need to give, like we need to use position as fixed for this OS side. One position fixed, and I will place it towards right from top, move 100 pixel, and from right it is around 50 pixel. So it moved. Fixed position is always it will take the position from the browser window. So it moved from top 100 pixel and from the right 50 pixel. So fixed position means it will, this position is fixed. If I scroll also it fixed, it will not scroll. To see that, I will give some height to the body. I will give 150% VH. So then you will get some scroll. See, now we got the scroll. So now you see the fixed position element. If I scroll, the position is fixed, it's not moving. So this is fixed position. So on the difference I told, right? So now I will add one more element, a div class, some test class. And some test. Okay. So for this, I will add some styles, width of 100 pixel and height of 100 pixel or height of 150 pixel, and some I will give some background color, of green. Okay, so now it's coming here, and let me hide this thing for your relative position and absolute position. Okay, so now I added relative position and absolute position element. So this is the div is fixed position, and followed by I added one more element. Let me remove this. See now, so this is the difference. So difference between fixed position and sticky position. So now so this is the fixed position, and so the yellow box is the fixed position, and the green box is the another element. There is no position for that, so it collapsed behind the fixed position, because fixed position will not occupy any width. That is the very important thing. Fixed position will not occupy any width. That's why, so the corresponding element, the next element will collapse behind the fixed position element. And if I say this element as sticky, if I say this element as sticky, see now I can visible the full next corresponding element. Sticky will occupy the space. Fixed position will not occupy the space. That is the difference. So if I say this top 0 and the left 0, and if I scroll, see still the position is fixed. Position, the sticky position is fixed, and it will occupy the space, occupy the width and height. But the fixed position fixed position will not occupy any space. So that is why the next corresponding element will fall behind the fixed position element. So these are the different types of positions available in CSS. So need to, with this very, very important, need to carefully understand is like on what purpose we are going to use, on which position we need to use. So that we are going to use relative position, absolute position in many situations and in many places to create a layout. And even fixed position, you observe some contact us feedback, the button is fixed always if you scroll the page. So this is about the different positions in CSS. Thank you.